Svalbard is really like a hidden skier's paradise. When you look around Svalbard, every mountain, every face of every mountain goes right to the ocean and has a skiable line on it. There really isn't like a place in Svalbard where you couldn't ski. And if you think about it, it's one of the coldest places in the world. It's almost near the North Pole. So, you know, an Arctic hidden ski destination that's like kind of untapped is sort of what we've all dreamed about. All right, just got to Svalbard. This has got to be one of the craziest places I've ever been. Just kind of wandering around right now. It's a tiny little town, kind of right on the water, just surrounded by huge mountains. And I traveled all the way to this kind of middle of nowhere island in the Arctic to go on a ski expedition. So right now, the first one here, I'm just kind of walking around, but in 2 days, I'm gonna meet up with the rest of the crew and we're gonna go sail around and ski in some of the most remote places on the planet. So what could be more exciting than that? I remember I was kind of walking through the airport in Oslo. I couldn't get breakfast. I couldn't get breakfast in Tromsø either. And I thought to myself, like, when I land in Longyearbyen, I'll just grab a bag of chips. And as soon as you get off the plane and you realize the arrivals and the departures are both in the same room, I kind of had this thought, I'm not getting a bag of chips here. The town is in this giant bowl that just, when you're walking around it, you realize that it's mostly mountains and everyone lives within this bowl somewhere, and that's pretty much the extent of civilization here. It's all mountains. And here is where I rest my head tonight. Marianne's polar rig. So like I'm walking around Longyearbyen and I realized like I'm gonna have to be here for 2 days. Like I really don't know what to do with myself. So I called Doug on the phone and I asked him like what would be like a good ski tour. And he told me no matter what you do, stay kind of within the slopes that are visible to town or behind the hotel. Because other than that, you put yourself at risk for getting eaten alive by a polar bear. That scared me a little bit, but I managed to walk up this slope and find a little spot where I could ski this couloir into town. Well, that was fun. There it is. Just a quick walk back to the hotel now. All right, the crew is here and we are about to get on our home for the week. Woo! We load up the boats the next day. We're all really kind of psyched, you know. We're on this beautiful shipping vessel. We're sailing the bluest water under the bluest skies, mountains all around us. Everywhere we look, we're just kind of like, we want to stop there. We want to go ski that. So we knew it was going to be the trip of a lifetime. We get kind of out into the bay and we realized it's going to be too windy. So we weren't going to make it where we thought we were and we pulled over in Trighamna Bay. Nice 1 a.m. dinner.
With a whole lot of sunshine.
For those who don't know, we have 24 hours of daylight, so it's gonna look like this all the time. What are your thoughts on the sleep situation?
I like it.
It's a little tight and cozy.
It's super comfortable once you're actually in.
Yeah. I kind of feel like I'm in my own little tube.
Yeah, I feel like an astronaut.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little pod.
Yeah, my little pod.
The next morning, we had this boat come up to us. And at this point, I had kind of put this little post on social media right before we went out of service, saying, you know, I'll be here for the next week if you need me, kind of signifying everything was fine. And if you saw that, you'd think we were on this grand adventure, but that was not what happened. Initiating step 1 of Save the Trip. We're on our way to the governor's office.
Oh yeah.
That boat that came up to us was a police boat, and they were doing a routine permit check. Now, we'd submitted this permit way back for the trip, and we expected that it was all gonna be fine. Essentially, the laws had changed on what kind of gun permit you needed to operate in Svalbard, and Doug had sent this permit in, and it was all clogged up, and there's only one person at the office who sort of approves these permits, so somehow it never went through. And we basically were told, you don't have a gun permit, you can't do this trip, you can't even ski here legally because of the polar bears. You need to have a gun to be out here, so they just told us to go home. So we're all teary-eyed, we're all devastated, and we're going back into town. And Ryan, another person on our trip, was just determined. He's like, we are going to find somebody with this gun permit who can come on this trip. All right, so today is a huge day because today we're gonna meet Esther, who is saving the trip.
Hey!
All right, so this is our hired gun, Esther.
Esther, you want me to talk about how I ended up on this boat?
Yeah, so how did you end up on this boat? What was it like to get this phone call? So immediately we get back into town, and we're going to every shop, we're going to every outdoor store, every guide service, just asking people, like, does anyone have a gun permit, good ski abilities, and a week of free time? And we're getting shut down everywhere. And eventually we meet Bee from logistics, and she originally was kind of shutting us down at first, and after we just like kind of begged and pleaded with her, she had this thought. This kind of sounds like my friend Esther.
And I get a call from B. Nord. She's an employee at the sports shop in town. And she says, hey, we've got some desperate Americans who need your help.
So we're all standing over the counter, just like hoping and praying like that Esther pulls through.
She said, we need someone with a rifle permit who can ski and come on this skiing sailing trip. And I was totally shocked.
She's like, you know, talking to Esther on the phone, like, come on, you know, this is an amazing trip. It's an opportunity you'll never get again. President of the AMGA is gonna be there. They have a chef, they'll pay you, just whatever she can do to get her to agree to go on this trip. And we're like all chiming in, and eventually Esther's just like, you know what? I don't know if I can turn this down.
I knew that I couldn't just say no to this opportunity because it's literally like a dream come true, all of the things I've been looking to do. And so I talked to my research partner and said, hey, is this okay if I ditch you and go on this trip? And she was like, yes, you have to.
So within 24 hours, we had found a girl from Montana doing a semester abroad who was flying back on the exact same day we were flying back and had enough free time to do this trip. And we put the boat back on the water the next day. Today's the day. There's where we're heading first. And we are officially loading up the boats and getting ready to go ski.
That is yours.
Yeah, this is mine.
Yeah, very good.
Loading up.
Lift off.
Yeah.
Send it.
They're off, and we're up next. As soon as we put the boat back on the water, there was kind of this feeling of excitement that we sort of needed to taper, because we saw avalanches coming down everywhere. The spring cycle had kind of just begun, and we knew we were gonna have to control our stoke a little bit, because we were around beautiful terrain that all looked good, but all of it was in danger of coming down. So we picked this low angle slope that looked kind of thinned out. All right, we're making our way up the skin track, and it's definitely a lot warmer than we thought. The snow is super unsupportable, isothermal punching through, but as we've gotten higher up, it's got a little bit more supportable on the skins. Up there, and it was completely isothermic and just shitty conditions, and we didn't end up going very high. All right, this is as high as we're going for now. We're gonna transition right here. See how the snow skis. Skiing. That is so crabby.
Yes, there we go. And then just to keep that shallow.
You gotta push over that now.
Go, Eric.
You're on, dude.
Rolling?
Yeah. Rolling on 2. Woo! Woo!
Nice.
After the first tour, we kind of went swimming for a bit, and then we moved the boat. We sort of parked our boat underneath this summit called Droning Maud for the night. And we were originally planning on moving it because we were hoping that glaciers would have better snow. They would be a little bit colder and maybe wouldn't be as isothermal, so we would find better skiing there. So we weren't even supposed to ski Droning Maud. We were just sort of harboring there for the night. Huh. You guys notice anything weird about this place? It seems a little dark in here.
A little dark, no energy, no running water. We got eggs though.
Yeah.
Got eggs.
Well, we have breakfast, but we don't have power.
You're doing it traditional
This trip
way.
is throwing everything at us. So, you have no power on a ship. That kind of means you don't have water. You can't really cook. And you also can't go to the bathroom. Well, this is what the bathroom looks like. Our captain decided he was gonna go dig around and see if he could fix the ship's power, because we also didn't have navigation. So until further notice, we were stuck there. No indoor plumbing and no electricity. Pretty much no way to do anything except we can ski. Yeah! Let's do it. We tried to help as best we could, but after a while, he was kind of like, you guys should just go skiing. We went up Droning Maud, not really expecting it to be much better than the day before. And that little power outage turned out to be a blessing in disguise. We were touring up Droning Maud, and we found something we'd been looking for the whole trip, and it just seemed to elude us until this moment. It's fucking corn. We finally found some good snow. We're touring up this cold snow. Droning Maud is a high summit, so we're getting above every other peak in the area, and it was just this moment of like realizing the dream was coming true. We were gonna ski a big summit in the Arctic. You know, you're touring up that final ridge and you're looking into the Arctic Ocean and towards the North Pole. It is just an outrageous place in the world to be. And every turn on that summit was some of the most beautiful turns of my life. Oh man, just skiing through a puddle to get out of here, why don't we? All right, third day on the mountain today. We finally get to touch some glaciers. Yeah. Hell yeah. Pond scale! Alright, we have been inside all day, cooped up, getting thrashed around by waves, but the fog finally lifted and the sun is finally out once again. That looks good over there. In Svalbard, there's 24 hours of daylight, which, if you've never experienced that, it's one of the oddest things you'll ever feel. Because if you were to drop your phone off the side of the ship, I don't know if you would ever know what time it was again. Angela, what time is it?
It's midnight time.
Oh yeah. To be exact, it is 11:24, and we are going skiing because there's daylight forever. Is this our earliest tour or our latest tour?
I don't know, probably both.
I'm gonna go with, I think it's my latest tour, I think it's the latest tour. We got up, we had breakfast, we like drove the boat around. This is the most unprofessional, slowest start ever. We're gonna get benighted. I forgot my headlamp. I'm done.
It's gonna get dark on you.
It's gonna get dark in about 4.5 months. While the sun never sets, when we geared up at midnight to head out onto the glacier, you could tell that it was changing. It was a little bit colder, the clouds behaved in the oddest little ways, and even though that was the smallest tour we did on the trip, skiing through the fog at night just kind of felt like this grand adventure.
Okay, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Has it been an okay midnight?
Yeah, it's been a lovely midnight.
Start hanging my
Go.
stuff like that in my shed.
Yeah. Yeah. So we did a lot of polar plunges on the ship, and throughout the trip, I kind of been adding 1 minute, and I didn't decide to do 5 until they threw me off the boat in a survival suit, basically, for the man overboard drill. And I kind of wanted to see how I would have actually fared if I had really fallen off and it took them those 5 minutes to pull me out of the water.
Whew. Ryan's starting his 5 minutes. So
Don't forget to smile, makes it easier.
woo!
So I jumped in and Esther set a timer and I just kind of swam around. And it was one of the most memorable experiences of the trip.
Alright, here we go. He's at 2 minutes, 30 seconds, halfway to go, still smiling.
I slowly just got colder and colder, and it took me till about 3 minutes to like really feel it. And as that last minute on the clock ticked, Johan, Todd, and Angela just kind of started singing me this sea shanty.
Put him in the longboat until he's sober. Put him in the longboat until he's sober.
Kind of motivated me to keep pushing on.
Alright, he's got 7, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
5 minutes!
And as soon as I pulled off that ladder, at minute 5, I noticed everything from the neck down was completely numb. So, do I recommend that to you? Probably not.
To get into the sunlight.
After night skiing, we kind of took a little nap and we were going to go up for one more tour. And because of the wind and the clouds, we couldn't do the tall glaciated peak. So we decided to go back up there and go try and tag it before we had to head back. And as we ascended that final stretch of mountain that we were going to be climbing and skiing on this trip, I couldn't help but think about the experience we just had and how much it changed. Sure, would it have been cool to have an extra 2 days of skiing in the Arctic? Yeah, but we became more connected with this community that most people don't even know exists than I ever could have imagined. You know, I think about all the people we met along the way, Johan and Håkon, B from logistics, and especially Esther, who we really kind of changed her world for a little bit and, you know, gave her an opportunity that she might not have otherwise had. And I think that made a bigger difference than just traveling through this place, not really engaging with it, and just going skiing ever would have. You know, we have a story that is unlike any other trip I've ever been on, and one that really kind of impacted this small community positively. And it makes me want to engage more with the communities that I go to on my future travels and not just pass through.